What's up, YouTube? This is Shank from Unishank, and today I'm starting a new series, How to Play Chess for Beginners. This is the first installment of this series, wherein I'll be telling you about the pieces. So let's begin. So this pawn, this thing that you see, it's called a pawn or sipahi or soldier, as you call it in Hindi and English. This pawn can move two squares on the first move, and from then on it can only move one square. There are 8 pawns on one side of the chessboard and 8 pawns on the other. The, you usually make the first moves of a chess game with the pawn. So you usually make usually start a chess game with these pawns. The pawns are worth 1 point, or their value is 1. There's a very interesting rule associated with the pawns. So let's just take a random situation. So here you played your pawn. Now the opponent plays their pawn here. Now what would you do? The pawn has come 2 squares and has skipped this square where you would be able to take it. So chess players, thinking that that was unfair, in some time around 15th century, they made this rule called en passant or en passant, where you can take this pawn like that, and you can take that pawn like that without having the pawn there. This is the rule introduced by the French chess players. So that's it for the pawn. Let's go to the next piece, the knight. Usually the piece which you would play second. That is, you'll play a knight like this. Knight go in a L kind of shape, right? So 1, 2 left, 1, 2 right, 1, 2, 2 left. Knights are usually very powerful in the center of a chessboard. They control most squares there. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. They control 8 squares when they are in the center of a chessboard, and those squares are spread around, unlike the other pieces. The very interesting thing about the knight is that you can skip the square with the knight. So when you're going here, just a second, it just got freezed. Yes. When you're going here, it's 1, 2 like that, right? 1, 2, and there. But with the knight, you can skip the square and you can directly go there and like jump over pieces. You call it that the knight can jump over the pieces. So that's it about the knight. Let's go to the third most value, like the piece you would move third in a chess game. That is a bishop. A bishop is a very powerful chess piece indeed. It controls the diagonals. The bishops are very powerful, also like the knights, they are very powerful in the center. So you would normally play this bishop here. So bishops, as you can see, it controls the diagonals, right? That diagonal, like that. A bishop in the center is very deadly as it kind of restricts opponent's movements. So if they want to move a pawn or like a knight, let's suppose they want to move a knight, you're basically kind of creating a barrier for the opposing pieces that they can't come here. And it's also a very important tool when you want to prevent your opponent from castling. That's it for the bishop. Also, wait. There's another rule that one bishop can't change its square. So it started on the light, it can never go on the dark square. Light, I mean the white square, you can never go to the dark square. That is the black square, right? So that's it for the bishop. Now let's go to the rook. The rook is a very strong piece. Let's just show the rook. Yes. Just a second. Yes. Wait. What just happened? Yes. The rook controls the ranks and the files. The files are the vertical lines are called the files. These are called the files. You could call it G file, F file, like that. They are the files. And the horizontal rows are called the ranks. Fourth rank, third rank. So what the rooks do is they can move on ranks and files. That is, they can move vertically and horizontally. You mainly use a rook to safeguard your king. So let me show you how you would. Just a second. Let's just move this bishop so that we can implement a rule. So there's a rule called castling. Castling is a rule in which you move two pieces at the same time. King moves two squares and the rook comes just beside it. The castling safeguards your king and can only be done if your king. There are three rules for castling. Your king, actually, there are four rules. The king should not be in a check. The king should have not moved prior to castling. The rook should not have moved prior to castling. And there should not be any piece that is like uh, preventing castling, right? So when I told you that bishop were a very good tool to stop castling, is that if they control one of the square, it could make the opponent that they could not castle. Castling is very important. It's considered very important in chess as it safeguards your king and kind of protects it from the mess going on in the middle of the chessboard. So this is called the castling. Next, let's go to kind of a mixture, I would call it. Mixture of the bishop and the queen. Bishop and the rook. The queen. The queen can control the ranks and files. It can move on the ranks and files just like the rook. It can also move on diagonals just like the bishop. This makes the queen a very strategic and important piece, and a piece you would not play in the early part of the game or the opening of the game, right? You would most likely try to save the queen. The queen is worth 9 points. The bishop is worth 3 points and the rook is worth 8 points. That's it for the queen. Now let's come to the most important piece of the chessboard. The piece that seals the fate of the game, the king. If the king is checkmated, you lose the game. So let me show you how a checkmate would look like. So this is the checkmate. So the king is helpless. It can't move as its own pieces block it. By the way, you can't take your own pieces, right? So a queen is attacking it. There is no way you could block the attack. There is nowhere that the king can go and stay safe. So this is called a checkmate, in which situation the black player has lost the game. The king's movement pattern is basically just like the queen. Let me bring it. Yes, it's just like the queen, but it can move only one square. So let's just bring him here. It can move only one square. So queen can go on ranks and files, right? Similarly, the king can also go, but the thing is, it can only go one square. So if it wants to go here, it can just go to f4. It can't go here. It can just go up one square at a time. So that's it for today's video. Like and share if you like this such type of content and enjoy it. Do share it too. Thank you.